You ever feel like you're screaming in the middle of a crowd, but no one hears you? Like every word out of your mouth is crushed before it even escapes. You walk into a room, but all you get in return is coldness, contempt, and dead stares from people who don't really care. That pain, it's not just loneliness. It's a quiet rage burning inside you, swallowing every last hope of recognition. All the effort you've put in, every battle you've fought, it's all been crushed by this world. You've tried to scream, to assert your existence, but not a single person stopped to listen. And that's the cruelest torment. You're trapped in a storm, with no way out, crushed by the silence and disdain of the people around you. You've sacrificed, you've fought, you've lost it all for what? For a sliver of recognition from people who never valued you. You've been deceived, betrayed by the very expectations they built around you. You've fallen, exhausted in a race with no end. But now, that pain will turn you into something more, something they never saw coming. The anger, the bitterness you once felt, it's going to become your strength. You don't need words, you don't need pity, you'll stay silent. And in that silence, you'll control everything. You want them to respect you, huh? No, not just respect. You want them to fear you when you walk into a room. No words, no smiles, no nods of approval, just silence. Let that silence wrap around them, suffocating. Words, they're cheap. Actions, sure, they're loud. But silence is the most terrifying scream there is. The kind that echoes in their minds long after you've left. People, they're weak. They talk too much, always running their mouths to prove they matter. The more they talk, the more desperate they seem. But you're different. You'll stand there, silent, a blank face dead inside. Let them write their own stories in their heads, without you saying a word. You think, I'm here to teach you how to get their respect. Their fear now, you don't need tricks, or words, or approval. Everything you need is already inside you. Your whole life, you've been lied to, told you had to speak, to explain, to beg for their acceptance. But where has that gotten you, huh? Nowhere, because words are for the weak. You don't need their approval. What you need is silence gold, merciless silence. Have you ever been in a room where no one speaks, but the air's so thick you can't breathe? That's the kind of power you're going to create. When you walk in, no need to say a word. They'll feel you like the air has turned heavy, the room falls quiet. They'll wonder, what's he thinking? What's he planning? And you won't say a damn thing. That's how you control them. They don't care about you, don't get it twisted. They'll smile, shake your hand, but behind your back, you're invisible to them. Your power isn't in getting them to like you. It's in not needing them at all. Without needing them, you become the thing they fear most of, force they can't control. You've been playing by their rules, following their script your whole life. But not anymore. You'll change the game. The world doesn't care about what you deserve. It only cares about who's willing to take what they want without asking. And silence is how you'll take it. You think if you don't speak, they won't know who you are. Wrong. That's the trap they want you to fall into. They want you to believe you have to shout to fight for their attention. But the truth is, the quieter you are, the more powerful you become. When you walk into a room and say nothing, but all eyes are on you, that's no accident. That's power. That's control. Your silence says you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need their approval. They'll start to fear you. They need you to react, to engage, to play their game. But when you refuse, when you stand there cold, silent, they'll start unraveling. And that's when you've won. Silence doesn't mean weakness, it's a strategy. While the world around you screams, you'll stand like a mountain in the storm, unshaken. Your silence is sharper than any insult, more powerful than any punch. Let your silence make them question themselves, doubt themselves, feed their own fears. Silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a mirror that forces them to see their weaknesses, their insecurities. You don't need to scream, don't need to raise a fist. Just stand there in silence and let them destroy themselves from within. When they can't control you, can't predict you, fear will swallow them whole. And when they realize, no matter what they do, they can't break you, can't control you, can't get inside your head, they'll fear you. Not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't say. But I'm here to tell you this: you don't need to keep fighting a pointless battle. Stop chasing after empty promises or validation from people who aren't worth your effort. Stand still, take a deep breath, and look inside yourself. Stop seeking recognition from the outside world. Sometimes the greatest strength doesn't come from screaming to be heard, but from choosing to stay silent and letting your inner voice speak. Silence isn't surrender, it's protection. When you stop needing their approval, you'll realize one thing: you never needed them in the first place. Your peace doesn't depend on them. Your silence doesn't mean weakness, it means power. Life isn't easy. There will be moments when you want to scream, to prove yourself, to demand what's rightfully yours. But sometimes the best way to find freedom is to walk away from the fight. Don't let their indifference or your pain control you. Remember, in silence, you find your true strength, the strength to stand tall. Without needing the applause or praise of others, give yourself the space to embrace the quiet within and don't fear it. Silence is the most powerful declaration you can send to the world. And when you learn to wield it, those who once ignored, you will have no choice but to listen, to fear your presence. You deserve that. You are strong enough. You don't need to speak. You don't need to explain. Your silence will say it all.